streamed in over 50 countries.
We have to say hello to Nigel in Hong Kong, who single-handedly managed to get us to, wait for this, Dan, number 9 on the Apple Podcast charts for British football shows in Hong Kong.
Over 40 guest interviews and counting.
We would like to welcome to the St Johnstone podcast ex-Scotland internationalist and all-round hero Del Boy John O'Neill. It's the Dogger Saints' pleasure to introduce Liam Craig, Michael Dewberry, the St Johnstone legend Stephen Anderson. How you doing, buddy? You okay?
I'm alright, just doing away as usual.
It's Hall of Fame member Nick Dazovic.
How you guys doing?
Over £3,000 worth of terrible merchandise discussed.
But it is a dog waste bag dispenser with a Bournemouth badge on it.
Join Sam and Dan as they chat about the mighty Perth St Johnstone.
Stephen Anderson scores! It's come through to McLean! He has scored! It's on McClure! It's in! It is unbelievable! To Rooney! And what is it about Sean Rooney and cup finals?
It's the Dogger Saints Podcast.
Hello and Merry Christmas, everyone. I am Sam Miller, and this is the Dogger Saints Podcast, your unofficial St Johnstone podcast, and I am joined by the man that puts the ho in ho ho ho, a resident Santa Claus. It's Danny Williams.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not shout. I'm telling you why. Because we're going to make you watch the Saints game on repeat if you do. Because that is very, very bad behaviour. And you deserve to be punished as such.
It wasn't ideal. We will get to that, though. We will get to the Saints game, the match against Rangers and Motherwell, very, very briefly. We'll talk about the current Saints form. We have to bring it up. Not very good. Got Davey Irons on. We will talk with him about his time with Saints, which was kind of littered with injuries, but he was also the Gretna manager when they got promoted to the Premier League, pipping St Johnstone the last day of the season. We wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't ask him about that.
Oh, fuck off. I feel bad for saying that because, as you will come to realise, Dave is the nicest man in the world.
Yeah, it's a brilliant interview. We've got that for you later on. We have got a trip to the Royal with our good pal George.
Oh, what a character.
And a very special club shop of shame where St Johnstone under the spotlight, and also the Glasgow Rangers. This is a belter this week.
This is top Hall of Fame club shop of shame.
It really, really is. We've also got Wendy Who, our mystery voice competition. We are going to York to speak to Mike Pringle on this one this week.
What a thrill.
Let's get to it. Fir Park. Dear me.
Deary me. Now, I'm going to preface this, as I tend to do, because we are pretty soft. We are what, we don't tend to get too emotional about things either way. We got a bit emotional when we're winning stuff, but a different kind of emotion. We're in deep, deep shit though.
It's not looking good at the moment, is it? We can't really dress it up. The results aren't looking good. We know what the problem is up front, but now maybe we're letting soft goals in now as well. It's a lot of people are calling for Callum's head. I still think that's ridiculous. In my opinion, I don't know about you, but I'm wanting to give him January and let him get some signings. And you have to give him January to make because he was hit with losing McCann and Kerr so late. Which was forced through by McCann and his agent, who pleaded to get the deal done and over the line. It was out of St Johnston's hands to an extent there.
It wasn't, no, because he was under contract, so he could have just said no.
Yeah.
He'd have got over it. He might have sold for a couple of days. He'd have got over it. I'm very much the same as you. I think maybe it's the way football is now, but the first sign of trouble, fans do start to, understandably, worry, and the person who always carries the can for a poor run of form or for when things aren't going well is the manager. So, yeah, and the way football, clubs, don't get me wrong, there are some clubs, Callum would have been out the door.
Mm-hmm. But
I don't think that's right. I really don't. I mean, you can even talk about the success last season and all that jazz as a reason why he's not, as a reason why the club might not want to get rid of him. I just think that's a perfectly valid reason, because if he's good enough to do that, he's good enough to get us out of the mire at the minute. But you look at Leicester City, what did they do 6 months after they won the title? Sack the Tinkerman.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that was a bit ludicrous. But, you've got to make the right decision at the right time. Actually, probably because they were spiralling towards relegation. But no two cases are the same. And yeah, I just think it'd be a really, really daft time to change manager full stop, but also to get rid of a manager. I still think he's a very, very promising young manager. And he is a young manager and he is making mistakes. But that's how you learn. And he's probably got to start learning pretty quickly, admittedly. But, I think calls for his head are very, very, very hasty.
I think so. You got to give him January. You got to give him that transfer window to bring back Danny Swanson. Mike Kennedy and Dre Wright, get them all back in.
I said the other day, speaking of managers heading down a job centre, I said the other day, I know full well if Tommy was still in charge, Matty Kennedy and Dre Wright would be on the way back. He loved signing wingers that had played for us before. But
I would take them back.
I'd take Matty back. The problem is, if we do that, and you're looking at... that isn't the point I was trying to make at all. The point I'm trying to make is, one of the reasons why we're in the sort of dirt at the minute is because you look at a squad, and obviously what happened on deadline day plays into this. It's a lot of people nobody else wanted. And it can work, and it's worked before for Saints, but it is a risk. I actually think a couple of the signings were made very recently, although Viv might be on his way out anyway. But
he's out of contract in 2 weeks, bizarrely.
Yeah, he's out of contract in 2 weeks. But I hope maybe there's a view to keeping him on, because I think there's something there. I think there's a footballer in there. And I think I thought the bottom man, we'll come on to all this later, but I thought the bottom man looked... I thought he looked pretty good in the sort of 1 and a bit games he's played. So I think you've got to look at January. He's got to be backed. And then if it still continues to go tits up from there, after he has had a chance to, put his own mark on things, then maybe arguments that he's not the guy carry a bit more weight. But at the minute, I still think they're pretty daft arguments.
Yeah, let's touch.
That's just my opinion.
We've all got opinions, like arseholes. Everyone's got one.
They all stink.
Hey. Let's touch on the Motherwell game really briefly. I don't really want to talk about it too much, but there was one little bit in this match which really summed it up for me. Craig Bryson, who I thought was the epitome of professionalism throughout. He was throwing himself into everything. The ball went out for a throw-in at one point, and he was screaming at Glenn Middleton to turn around and face it. Like they were just dondering away. You could actually hear from the stand, and it was on the halfway line, Craig Bryson shouting on Glenn to turn around so he could throw the ball for a quick throw-in. And they were just lethargic to get to it. And that really summed up that whole match for me, that one little bit.
I think you're absolutely right. And it was, Glenn, I love it. I still think there's a tremendous player in there. And for what he did when he came in last season, absolutely love him. But it's just not looking like it's working out this time. For whatever reason, it's really not looking like it's working out this time round. And I think he's not looking, as you say, that was just, he seems to be in his own little world at that point in time, as he should be. And if you're a defender, you're marking him, you're looking at him and you're thinking, well, I'll just stand here then, because you're not looking for the ball. It's an easy job, because you should be turning around, you should be facing the play, and you should be, not meaning to sound like Roy Keane, digging a few elbows in or something like that, just making a pest of yourself. But as you say, it summed it up. The other one for me was, as I said, I don't ever like going personal on players at all, but Michael O'Halloran's come on, and he's gone out on the wing, and he's fetched himself on the wing, and the left back and the left winger are both sort of have gone inside. And I can understand what he's thinking. He's thinking, I'm in acres of space. The reason they've gone inside and he had acres of space was because he was a mile off the play.
Mm-hmm.
The ball's on the other side of the park. The ball's on the left wing. Well, at left back, probably. And O'Halloran's sort of just dandering about, thinking he's got all the space in the world. I'm not being funny. Nobody's hitting that pass over to him. And then if they do, then the left back and the left winger have got all the time in the world while the ball's in the air to get back into position. It was just, I just think there's some strange, when we talk about a manager, I think there's some strange decision-making from players at the minute. And I do always say this, players do need to take a little bit of responsibility. And yesterday, I'm looking at it, as you've already touched upon, Craig Bryson was, as he has been sort of throughout this slump, the real bright spot. He's near the end of his career in the start, and he's not going to be able to play every week, because we all know he missed the first part of the season with real injury trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was certainly our best player out on that pitch. thought Viv had a good game for his first start. Other than that, it just looked like, and I saw after what actually spoke to me in the game as well, was after they scored the opening goal, after Motherwell went ahead, the body language, the heads just dropped. Someone, I can't remember who it was actually lying on the floor. It was like the Bayern Munich players in the 1999 Champions League final. I'm thinking, and Liam Gordon, as the captain, he's trying his best. He's trying to get everyone up, and he's whirling his arms around, telling everyone to pick themselves up. And you're thinking, lads, there's an hour to go in this game against a team who probably say, all things being equal, and both teams being at the best, we're not a million, we're pretty evenly matched with. It was almost like, and it's understandable given what usually happens when we go behind, but it was almost like, oh shit, here we go again. And you can't be like that. I think there's a massive confidence issue in the side at the minute. And yeah, it's difficult to see where we turn it around, but there's a lot of football still to be played this season, and you've just got to be not confident, but you've got to be hopeful that because there's a lot of football to be played, we're looking back on this at the end of the season after we've sneaked into 6th place and we're laughing.
Indeed. But speaking of laughing, let's make things positive. Shall we have a bit of positive moment?
Yes.
Nice. I got this tonight. Let me get it. This, my friend, is a Christmas present.
All right.
For us.
For us?
It is. It's for us, yeah.
Who's buying us presents?
A good listener and a good friend, Andy Miller.
Oh, Andy.
He's got us a Christmas present, and I've not opened it. I don't know what it is, but we'll open it.
Let's have a look. Oh, sweet man.
Oh, what a thing of absolute beauty. Check out that.
Oh, wow.
This is a multi-frame, and it's got the Dogger Saints logo in it, a picture of me and Dan, We Love the 90s, Nick Dazvich, and also a small nod to the Am and View podcast. There's a photo of the 4 of us there and their logo as well. Look at that.
And Andy, you beautiful man. What a lovely thing to do.
I
mean, you can get them West Lothian oddballs out of the road, but apart from that,
We Love the 90s is in there. That is a lovely thing. We'll put a photo up that online. Very much appreciate that.
That is what a lovely thing. That has cheered me up immeasurably.
I feel a bit guilty now because I gave him a El Paz Coffee Club mug.
I haven't even got one of them yet.
Still available at doggersaints.com. Andy, that is a bloody lovely gift.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andy. That is absolutely lovely. And yeah, I'm a bit lost for words at that. That's fantastic. Speaking of the Am and View podcast and mugs,
go on.
We still have not received 2 mugs that we paid good money for.
That is absolutely 100% accurate. We thought they'd do a bit because they bought a Dogger Saints mug, so they produced their own range of Am and View mugs. And we thought, you know what? We'll buy one. We'll support their cause. Have we received it? No.
No. And you know what I blame?
Go on.
Liam Innes.
I blame Liam Innes as well. Who got married recently. Congratulations to him. But apparently it turned into a bit of an Omicron festival.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they're all a wee bit under the weather now. Most of the people who attended that wedding, which isn't ideal. But
that's what I was leading on to. Not about the Omicron, but as I was tearing down Liam Innes now, massive congratulations to Liam on his recent nuptials, and also to Thomas from the Am and View podcast, who has missed the last few episodes because he got a dog.
Dogs don't do anything. It's a 40-minute episode tops. They do a week, 40 minutes, and apparently,
because Thomas's fiance, she plays for the Living Women's team.
Okay,
and so apparently they have training at the same time as recording. She's out training at the same time as recording, and yeah, he has to keep an eye on the dog at every single second of this time.
That's a frightening statistic. Nonsense. But congratulations to Liam. Andy, thank you very much for the lovely gift. It's not naff or cheesy at all, and it's definitely going up on my wall.
Yeah, that's so sweet. That's unbelievable.
What a guy.
And so that was lovely. That was a nice little happy thing. And because it was much more pleasant talking about happy things than football, we will can the football for a minute. And what are we going to go to, Sam? You tell me. You let me know. I need to know.
Let's do a competition. Wendy who?
Wendy who, yeah. Wendy who, yeah. Who's it gonna be? Wendy who, yeah. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
It's the mystery voice competition. Here's the clip.
Hi, and I'm the Dogger Saints mystery voice.
We found out last week it is not Roddy Grant. He was the first guest of the competition. The winner of this, whoever gets it, will win a Dogger Saints goodie bag, including an AFC Bournemouth dog poo bag holder. But we'll also add to this week. We'll let you know at the end what we're going to be adding to the prize bundle if it has not been won today. But we've got a listener lined up. Do you want to speak to them, Dan?
I can't think of anything I'd enjoy more, Sam.
Oh, Saints winning.
I can't think of anything realistic that I'd enjoy more, Sam.
Let's go and speak to Mike. How you doing, buddy? You okay?
No bad, lads. Yeah, very well. Thanks. How you two guys doing?
Very, very well. I got all my Christmas shopping done today in one fell swoop, and I'm absolutely delighted with that.
I'm still miles behind, but other than that, I'm not so bad, Mike. Thanks. Good stuff.
Well,
I've not done mine yet, but I kind of like I'm a shopping ninja when it comes to Christmas shopping. It all gets done in one day because the thought of going back out again to do it a second time just horrifies me. So it all gets done in one day.
If in doubt, the BP garage. There's always someone lurking about the counter. Whereabouts in the world are you, Mike?
I'm in York, actually. Yeah, I grew up in Perth, and I've been in York now for 20 years.
Nice. Lovely part of the world. I've been to York races. If you went to York races for my brother's stag do, it's a great day.
Oh, I went to Musselburgh races for my brother's stag do.
Just probably pass each other on the way.
I got to Perth races because it's about 20 minutes from my front door.
Well, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Good day out. But you still on to say...
The glamour.
That's it. You get to keep in touch with St Johnstone in York.
Yeah, I do. I don't get up to see them as often as I'd like. I mean, the last match I was at was Galatasaray home.
Okay.
So,
maybe not a bad thing.
Maybe one of these... could be classed as a glory hunter these days, I suppose. But I've been going since 1969. So
that you can be classified as a bona fide fan. 50 years as a Saints fan. That's all right. And obviously, you've probably heard a lot of St Johnstone names and players and voices in that time. And you thought you would come on for a wee stab to guess our mystery voice.
Yes, I have an idea. Yeah, my first thought was when I realised it wasn't necessarily a player, I was thinking, oh, well, it's maybe the chairman,
Right.
Maybe
you thought it was Steve, right? Okay.
When you said I did, and I went back through your guess. So I tried to approach this scientifically, I thought, right, they must have spoken to him, because they always say, or they sometimes say, oh, if you need anything else, give us a shout. And I thought, well, they've gone back to one of their guests, So
Dan, we've been rumbled. Dan, we have been rumbled.
Well, that didn't yield anything. I couldn't match any of them. And then it struck me.
Go on.
Fame. I'm thinking, it's only Doogie Barron.
Doogie Barron. It's a name that has not came up yet from some of the examples that come in, but we have approached Doogie Barron. I can tell you that much from the get-go.
I'm locking that in. I'm locking it.
You're locking it in. Right, here's the clip one more time.
Hi, and I'm the Dogger Saints mystery voice.
Is the Dogger Saints mystery voice Doogie Barron? No, that's the wrong button. No, that's the wrong button. So every single week, right? It's the green.
That's part of the charm.
That's it. The big green button. Right, here we go. It is not Doogie Barron, but that is a great shout, though.
What a shout!
Incredible.
Well, I thought Edinburgh accent, well, maybe it's not an Edinburgh. It's not a West Coast accent. So I thought, it's Doogie Barron. I even said to the wife, I says, look, do you think that could be him? She was like, definitely. Well,
there we go. But we very much appreciate you coming on. I think this could be a long runner potentially. But Mike, thanks for coming on. Really, really appreciate it, buddy.
My pleasure. Thanks so much. Nice to speak to you guys.
No, not at all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having a go. And hopefully we'll speak to you again if you want to come on for another go.
Aye, that'd be great. No bother. Thanks, lads.
Good man. Thanks again, mate. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate.
Bye, Sam. Bye, Danny.
An incorrect answer, Doogie Barron. 12 years at Saints.
Oh, I mean, what a servant.
A stalwart of the 80s. We don't like the 80s.
I do enjoy a bit of the 80s, but not as much as I like the 90s.
Do love the 90s. Shall we move on?
Let's
move on to this.
What's the shop? Club shop of shame. What's the shop? Club shop of shame. What's the shop? Club shop of shame. What's the shop? Shame.
It's the Club Shop of Shame, and we are now Perth's premium merchandise reviewers.
It has been put into official terms.
By official St Johnstone things.
by actual St. Johnstone.
Yeah, we were, for anybody who doesn't know who's maybe not on social media, we and Dan were invited along to St. Johnstone to view their new range for their club shop.
What an honour. But also, what a sensible decision by the club.
They know that we are the cornerstone if something is either fame or shame.
I know soccer, and I know goods. You put the two together, who else are you going to call?
Exactly. Some people might think that St. Johnstone selling a St. Johnstone branded apron and oven gloves would be a terrible idea. I beg to differ. They were quality.
They were quality material, particularly the apron,
That was
which
lovely.
was actually endorsed by Lynn, who's the head chef up at McDermott.
Yeah, she loved it as well. I thought the oven gloves were great. Good terry towel and quality. I think my wife would love that for Christmas. She loves cooking every night. And I think nothing would improve. I can't even keep a straight face. She would hate it, and I'd get divorced if I bought her that. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, my dad bought my mum a Karcher window washer, which thankfully she actually loved. So he did buy her something else on top of this. So it wasn't just that. But I was very, very worried about which direction that was going to go.
Yeah, and that's no idea. It's always in the kind of bracket of. Remember The Simpsons way back when Homer bought Marge a bowling ball with Homer on it because he wanted it for himself. Oh, that's it. That's like I've got Noel this year, the Oculus Quest 2, do you know, the VR headset?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted that, but I kind of wanted it more. One of them ones.
Wow. I could see what direction that was going in.
That's it. But he might enjoy it. Not as much as I will when nobody's home. Anyway, let's move on. It's the club shop. It's a club shop of shame. And we have got a beauty. If you've got a Rangers fan in your life, my wife's a Rangers fan, unfortunately.
If anyone's going to be doing the divorcing.
Yeah. Should be me based on that purely alone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say she's a Rangers fan anymore. She liked Rangers when she was younger. And I might just have just the late Christmas gift for her.
Well, you think of Christmas, Sam, and you think of what you give to the special person in your life.
Buster, some treats.
Yeah. But the other, the slightly less special person than the dog. You think, what are you thinking? What are the classics, really? Perfume, that's always a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
A nice new coat.
She's not listening this week because I'm going to edit it all myself because she's dead busy. So I've got her both of those things. I've got her a big Arsene Wenger coat because that's what she wanted because Samantha had one.
She'll enjoy that.
Yeah. So and I got her some perfume. I got her what she wanted. And if any girls know this, how bad this is, it's called Charlie Red. And it costs about $5 from Semichem, but she likes it. So I've gone with it. She's not a class act.
You can take the girl out of Slamannen.
Yeah. Falkirk's finest.
Anyway, so there's a couple of classics. But the old sort of classic is a bit of jewellery. That always goes down well, doesn't it? Now, as you've already explained, your wife has an affiliation for the Rangers. She might like a bit of jewellery.
She does?
So, listeners, if your partner is like Lynn and fits into those categories, we've got just the item for you. We have got the Rangers official Ready Crest Gold Heavy Signet Ring, 16mm.
Well, that's the main thing. I don't know what the 60mm is. That the diameter? Surely ring sizes are.
Yeah, diameter of it.
Ah, well, there we go. That sounds okay. That all sounds fairly fine. Just a signet ring with the range. Taking this Ready badge is just the RFC, like.
Yeah, it's actually just the badge. It's just the Rangers badge, but they have to call it something different because cheeks of that particular arse are really weird. Anyway, I'm going to go straight to a description. Sam,
Good. You do that.
Because I've actually got one this week.
Good.
The famous Ready Crest, sounds like Ready Break, a hearty breakfast roll,
I like
is available on this 16mm heavy-weighted signet ring. Free personalisation with Rangers FC typography font. We'll come back to that. Round signet size, weight 11.2 grams approximately. I don't want approximate, Rangers. That's how you got into trouble with your approximate accounts.
Yeah.
You big cheating bastards. 9 CT. I'm being fake there because I don't know. I'm assuming that's a unit of measurement. Yellow gold hallmarked. Official Rangers FC licensed product. If you are not sure of your ring finger size, select the option require ring size and kit. That's not a sentence.
No.
And we will post one out as soon as your order is placed. You can also check out our size and guide it there.
All right,
so not
okay.
much to go off there.
Right, I'm looking at it
very
here.
descriptive description.
I'm looking at it here, but the silver one randomly came up. This Ready Crest Silver Signet Heavyweight Ring. This is only 50mm. I don't know why we're doing this one. It's only 90 quid. It's a bargain. It's not bad at that. The silver.
If that's the sort of thing you'd wear, I would not.
No, it's naff.
It's gauche, in my opinion. It's not for me. But, I mean, I think it'd suit maybe...
Lynn.
I wasn't going to say Lynn. I was going to say it wouldn't look out of place on Rangers supporting darts player, Andy the Viking Fordham.
Nice.
Dead.
Oh, it's dart season.
Rest in peace, big man. Anyway,
48 bottles of beer a day he drank. That's incredible.
He says when he won the World Championship, he couldn't remember it, but there was a write-up in the paper, because he used to have an interval at the Lakeside, didn't he, in the middle of the final? They go off for like half an hour. And he said, one of the write-up in the paper said, one of the players hit the practice board, the other one drank 2 bottles of lager and 2 large brandies. And so he said, don't remember it, but now I know what I did during the interval.
Nice.
It was good, man. But anyway, so it's the sort of thing that if you're into it and go for it, but you can. What really adds to the whole thing, Sam,
Go on.
is at no additional cost, and we'll get to the cost in a bit. You can have it engraved on the inside.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, I'm trying to think of what. So maybe your wife's called Debbie. I've picked my Rangers supporting mate's wife's name.
Okay. Right. Okay. I was wanting to know how you landed on Debbie.
You can have it engraved. I don't know, maybe, or
55. You could have written on the inside if you wanted.
55. You could have $2,000. I don't know, anything. That is included at no additional cost. I mean, there's not a lot more to describe. Oh, it's engraved on the outside with Rangers in 1872. So the formation of the first Rangers, and
It's got 2011 written on the side.
12.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to have to go look that up and edit that out there because I wasn't sure of the year. But yeah, 2012. Cheers. Saved me a bit of hassle there.
It comes in a fetching little box. So we'll go for it. We've established it's not for me. It's not to my taste, but that's all very personal. So we're not going to go down that road. Is it a bit pointless? In my opinion, yes, but in other people's, it might not be. So I've not gone too heavy on the first 2 litmus tests because I'm about to go completely and utterly balls deep on this on the third and final litmus test. Sam, how much was the silver again?
£90.
£90, yeah. 699 quid for the gold one.
What do you say to that? £700.
Not a lot. I'm sort of lost for words. The engraving's included in that one.
Oh, thank fuck for that.
Up to 70 characters I've discovered.
How'd you squeeze 70 characters on a ring?
I'm trying to work that out. You must get them folk like you used to get at Glastonbury. You'd paint your name on a grade of rice.
That's it.
So, yeah, 700 quid to look like you're going through the qualifying rounds at Lakeside.
Nice. That's ridiculous. It goes in just for that alone, 700 quid.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely in.
Now, I'm not big on precious metals, but I know gold is more expensive than silver. But to that jump?
Maybe someone out there who listens to this could advise on the different values of precious metals, because I'm absolutely no expert either. That seems a hell of a jump, 610 quid.
Yeah, if anybody's got one, we'd love to get you on so we can talk about your ring. So if you want to come and do that, that'd be great.
If you want Sam and Dan to explore your ring expertise.
There was always a wee ring joke going to get thrown in there somehow, but
I know. We get bit of blue for the dads.
Bit of blue for the dads. It's that time of year, it's fine. So the Rangers, can you give us its full title again, please?
The Ready Crest Gold Heavy Signet Ring, 16mm.
For £699. Club Shop of Shame, it goes straight in. But if you've got that kind of money floating around, you might want to buy that for your loved one. I can assure you I will not be.
No.
It's not for me, but I would rather honestly, I think Lynn would probably prefer the St. Johnstone apron and oven glove combo. And for the same price as the ring, she could get 23 oven gloves and 23 aprons for the same price as one ring.
Now that is good soccernomics.
Hashtag club shop maths.
Hashtag free Britney. Anyway.
Yeah, that's... If you want to get one, or if you do genuinely know anybody who's got one, let us know, because that sounds awfully, awfully expensive and it's a lot of crap. But thanks to Ruben McDonald who sent that in. I really appreciate that. He got in touch through Twitter to share that bit of knowledge. He also sent me a West Ham hammer.
I don't know if I could put that in.
I think it's pretty good.
Because, yeah, It'd be worth discussion.
I think so. But if you have seen something that should be up for discussion, let us know. And if you want to know how to get in touch with us and what to look out for, I only know one man that can give you these examples. It's Daniel Bryan Williams, which I've never actually got in touch with. I can't believe you're named kind of after a WWE wrestler.
Yes.
Daniel Bryan's brilliant. That's good. That's never came to me until I was thinking about it earlier on.
Well, there we go.
You've got a better beard. Right, Dan, take it away.
You've just mentioned the sport there, Sam. The wrestling. However, I'm not going to talk about the wrestling. I'm going to talk about the football.
Good.
Now, often, as you know, in this little section, I like to relate it back to Scottish football, the wonderful world of the glorious cinch. I'm going to take a little bit of a different path today. So, the Barclays was on earlier. Tottenham against Liverpool. 2-2. Archbishop Desmond.
Played out of Desmond at Tottenham Stadium.
But what we saw there was the captains of England and Scotland facing off. Andy Robertson of Liverpool, the Scotland captain, and Harry Kane of Tottenham, the England captain. Now, this got me thinking.
Did it?
I think at this time of year, at Christmas, there's numerous ways you can go with your gifts, isn't there? You know, you can, electronics, there's clothing, but some people like to get gifts that can stimulate the mind. And yeah, remember brain training?
I do.
That was a big thing for a while, wasn't it? On the Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
This got me thinking. Stimulating the mind. Yeah, that's what you got to do, haven't you? And so, listeners, you know where I'm going with this. I know where I'm going with this. Sam, I reckon you know where I'm going with this.
Not a fucking clue.
That's right. That's where I'm going with this. We're going to go big time. We're going to live it large. And the Christmas gift everyone wants is Harry Kane's Guide to Theoretical Physics.
Jesus.
Soccer's most intelligent man, right? Follows in the footsteps of big Albie Einstein, and he's on the theoretical physics. He's talking all. He's debunking myths. He's going into the theory of relativity. He's got it all going on in this handy compendium that he has compiled. And I think we all want it. I think we all want to read this. And I know it's out there, and you know it's out there. So I'm gonna tell you. I gotta tell you. I need to tell you. I'm aching to tell you. I'm yearning to tell you. How you get in touch with us? How you get in touch with the boys? If you've seen this masterpiece of education. So you get in touch with us. You can go Dogger Saints on Instagram, Dogger Saints on Twitter, doggersaints.com, the contact section, and the old facey beat. If you get kicked off the banter page, you give it a little bit of time. You get back on and you start shithousing again immediately.
He's back. We spotted him.
He's back. For people who, if you know, you know. But anyway, so that's what you do. You get off you forget about all of that, and you just concentrate on coming to let the boys know. Harry Kane's Guide to Theoretical Physics, 1999, W.H. Smith. Ooh, get there.
I think that's a great time to play this theme tune just now. It's a very festive.
Yeah.
'Tis the season. But it's 'tis the season to find St Johnstone players out and about. This is George O'Boy on the Royal. Where have you seen St Johnstone players? What have they been doing? Was it even a St Johnstone player? We've got one of them today. We have got a couple to talk about. And Dan, I will pass this. These are brilliant this week, randomly. But go for it. Dan.
We have entered the metaverse. Because now what we have got is failed O'Boyles.
We're scraping the barrel.
So the first one comes into us from our mate Alex McKenzie, who actually played in the Works five-a-side tournament with Alex on Thursday night.
I've seen photos where he got very bruised.
He got very, very bruised. And he was playing in goal.
That's impressive.
So he put everything on the line. Anyway, so Alex got in touch with us. And it was a live situation that was going down as it was going on. And it was a bit of a roller coaster. Alex starts, I'm at the Barbers, and I think Rooney is here. Sean, not Wayne, or Mickey. However, I don't have my glasses on, so it could just be a random West Coaster with blonde tips and a beard poking through his mask. Updates to follow. To be fair, random West Coaster with blonde tips and a beard, I can be forgiven for I can see where Alex is coming from there.
Yeah. First thing he thought of, text the boys, let us know. And that is exactly what we want you to do.
That's what we want you to do. And I'll tell you how to do that in a bit. Anyway, he goes on to say, false alarm. Give it 5 minutes here. False alarm. And that could have been embarrassing. I've also got a bit of an update to this story as well.
Go on.
Because he was sort of regaling it on Thursday night. A few lads, and he said when this bloke stood up, he said, in terms of physicality, he was about 1,000,000 miles away from Sean Rooney. he was a slightly larger chap than your average professional footballer.
Right, okay.
So, yeah. Anyway. So, I mean, that is...
I'm not going to lie, it's not going to win many awards for St. Johnstone, George O'Boyle in the Royal spots. It's not going to win any awards, but it was a great story nonetheless.
I enjoy it because it shows the tantalising nature of the O'Boyle.
And it shows that people are on their toes to keep an eye out for these St. Johnstone players. That's exactly what we want.
It's exactly what we want. That is exactly the direction we want you people to take around and about Perth.
And that'd be quite a wholesome story. Seeing Sean Rooney getting a haircut, that'd be a very wholesome tale.
Yeah, the problem is, I reckon, because he still lives in Glasgow, doesn't he? Well, he still lives down that way. So I reckon he's probably got a barber down there, and he seems the type. Anyway,
that was a reasonably wholesome non-spot. Our next one, not so wholesome.
So this is our mate Norrie, right? And I just think this is quite funny. So Norrie's in the gym. I think the same gym as you, doesn't he?
Yeah, the gym group one, yeah.
Yeah, new one down the retail park. Now Norrie's, I think he was doing some work on the mats, and he's spotted a chap working out next to him who bore a resemblance to our new signing, Viv Solomon Otterbar. Now,
what did Norrie try to do?
Well, he wanted confirmation if it was Viv, so he's trying to sneak a picture to send around for confirmation. Unfortunately, he's made a bit of an arse of it and didn't realise his flash was on. So, the lad's got his head down, because at this point, Viv had only just signed. So the lad's got his head down and working out. And so Norrie's trying to sneak a pic, and then obviously has just totally fucked it up. And yeah, it wasn't quite the covert operation he was expecting it to be.
I am not entirely convinced that he would be the first person ever to try and sneak a photo of somebody and have his flash on. That is a bad thing to happen. I've had that happen before when I was in Subway trying to take a picture of the guy behind the counter, because he was like 8'4", and I was trying to hold my phone up and the flash went off. I was like, sick, absolutely rumbled. But the other point being, why would Viv be using a public gym? Surely they're in their own little bubble and there's a gym at McDermott. Why would they be paying £19.99 a month to use a public gym?
Well, that's it. So, yeah, I mean, I think he saw a fellow with dreadlocks. He did look like Viv.
He did, very much like Viv, yeah.
And it might have been Viv. I still don't know.
We'll try and get clearance, or we'll try and get an answer on this one.
But I can't see why he'd be using a public gym.
It was very difficult to tell if it was him or not, because the flash, obviously, he took the photo from the mirror they were both standing in front of, and it's just a big bright flash, so it's very difficult to tell who it is. But if anybody else has seen Viv Solomon Otterbar in the gym, do let us know. We've got one last O'Boyle spot, but the details are very, very, very sketchy on this one. It's an anonymous one.
It's anonymous in many ways.
Yeah. He's not told us the player or who he is, but it's not the wholesome end we want to this tale, but we should regale it before moving on very, very quickly.
Essentially, yeah. Former St. Johnstone player being basically really annoying bastard drunk uncle at a wedding.
Demanding the wedding band carry on playing and demanding they play Caledonia once they stopped, and then threatening the whole band with a fight. We don't know who it is, but it sounds like a good night out. I love a wedding. My friend Seamus, his wife Gemma, is like in a wedding band and stuff, and he went, well, we'd love just asking on a weekly basis what kind of capers, like how many punch-ups there is, and there is like more jabs than a day at the Dure Centre outside some of these weddings.
It's not the place you'd sort of set in you'd think for it to turn into the Royal Rumble. But there you go. People are strange.
People are strange. So if you've been at a wedding where a former St. Johnstone player has kicked off Let us know. That could be a new feature.
Oh, I mean, it's one that the people would want.
I think so. We'll pencil that in as a New Year feature. But that's George O'Boy on the Royal. We've seen a random St John's player. We don't know who it is. We've also seen maybe Vivian Autobar, and we maybe have seen Sean Rooney. Maybe we've not seen either of them. Who knows?
Who knows? But what I want to know is where you've seen these Saintees. And I got to tell you, I'm aching to know. I'm yearning to know. I got to know where you've seen them. But you might be thinking, you might be like, Dan, I've seen the Saintees. I've seen them all over the shop. But how do I get in touch with you? Well, I'm going to tell you in a minute. But first of all, I'm going to give a couple of examples of where Saintees you might have seen. You might have seen them. And I'm aching to know. I'm yearning to know. I've got to know what you've seen them up to. And now, we've been a little bit goal shy recently. We don't score goals anymore. So just for a reminder of what it was like, we're going to go back to one of the great strike partnerships in the history of the club for this week's examples. So if you have ever seen the club's record goal scorer, John Brogan, if you've ever seen John Brogan having a bloody lovely old time riding the carousel at M&D's, I can just imagine he's there, he's bobbing up and down, he's spanking the back of the carousel horse. He's like, giddy up, buddy, we're going on an adventure. And then he just keeps going in circles. So if you've ever seen that, you come and let us know. And his partner in crime, his partner in goals, Ali McCoist, the nation's sweetheart, Ali McCoist. If you've ever seen Ali McCoist firing it into Patsy Kenzie, you come and let the boys know. If you've ever seen, I don't know why you would have seen that. I don't know why you would have been in the room. But if you were, you come and let the boys know. We'd be very interested in a lot of aspects of that particular tale. So if you've ever seen this, you come and let us know. But I'm gone now. I promised you I'd tell you how to let us know. So I'm going to tell you. I got to tell you, you got to let us know. Dogger Saints on Instagram, Dogger Saints on Twitter, doggersaints.com, the contact section, and the old facey B. Stop sharing the photo of the guy who stripped off his Christmas do.
Seen that.
It happens every year, and I've seen that big flappy arse crack more than enough. You can get up to better activities by coming and chatting to the boys. You ignore all that, you come and let the boys know. And then when you do, we'll have a damn good time. Boom! Get there!
Lovely. Did you see the picture of the guy getting wheeled off in the wheelchair from his Christmas night out?
No.
It was doing the rounds on Twitter. It was absolutely incredible. Just kind of in a wheelchair, like absolutely steaming out his nut. But, do you know, let's move on. Let's move on to happier time. Let's move on to this. It's our headline act. It's our guest of the week. And what a guest we have got in store for their listeners tonight, Dan.
Oh, tremendous. Absolutely cannot wait for this.
Be brilliant. He played with us for 3 years, signed by John McClelland. Maybe not getting as many games under his belt as he wished, but he may be more familiar to St Johnstone fans or younger ones as the man that took Great on at the Premier League. Ooh, it's going to be a tricky wank talking about this bit, but we will get through it. But he's an absolute gentleman, a legend, a great manager, thought highly by everybody in the game. We are delighted to welcome. It's Davy Irons. How you doing, Davy? You okay? Been kicked into your spare room, have you?
Just about, somewhere quiet.
That's it. I can see everybody there. Really appreciate you coming on. We actually, we seen you up at the Aberdeen game, taking notes, obviously doing a bit of scouting for somebody, but we were just sitting right in front of you, so we're like, look, we would go speak to him. I said, nah, we'll leave him to it. You looked awfully busy.
No, you should have. I'm doing match reports from Motherwell. I watched the opposition. The team Motherwell play the following week, so that's why I was at Perth last week.
Bro, you obviously did a very good job with getting the details on the Motherwell game. That was honking yesterday.
I'm taking all the credit, Sam.
But Davey, it's a pleasure having you on. Thanks very much for joining us.
No, it's an absolute pleasure to be asked, Sam. I kind of feel guilty with my career at St Johnstone because I probably never really contributed a lot. It's probably in their darkest period of their history when we get relegated out of the Premier League. But it's nice to be remembered. So.
Well, we'll actually touch on that. You were playing for Partick Thistle and you were approached by John McClelland. How did the move come around?
It was quite straightforward. That's just as you said. I was playing with Thistle. I was out of contract. In those days, there was, if you couldn't reach a fee, you had to go to a tribunal. Mm-hmm. So I was in dispute with Partick Thistle. I don't know if you know the history, but we ended up going to court. Myself and Ray Farmingham, we were promised a signing on fee and a promotion bonus at Thistle when we signed.
Mm-hmm.
We got promoted to the Premier League and they didn't give us our bonus. It was all in the contract. So long story short, we ended up in the High Court in Edinburgh for 2 weeks. So it was a very difficult time.
I bet.
So basically Thistle said, listen, if you either drop the court case or you're not getting a contract, I says, well, I'm not dropping my case because I had everything in writing. It was ridiculous. So I was out of contract. St Johnstone approached me and it was a no-brainer for me. I came up, spoke with John McClelland. They were in the Premier League. You know, the facilities are well known at McDermott.
Mm-hmm.
You know, albeit it was 20 odd years ago, 25, 26 years ago. It was still an attraction to come and sign for St Johnstone. They'd had a really good spell. Obviously, they changed manager and John McClelland had just taken over. So he obviously wanted to put his stamp on the squad. So he brought in a few players that summer, and I was one of them. So,
which is great. But the first season at McDermott wasn't your most successful. Obviously, you had a pretty bad injury.
It was 20 minutes into my debut against Dundee United at McDermott. I still remember it to this day. I thought there was a hole in the ground. I turned, the ball over the top. I just turned to run after it, and my Achilles just went. And that was me. 20 minutes gone. I think Jeff Brown must have been. He spent $100,000 on me, so I don't think it was the best $100,000 he ever spent.
Not ideal. No, how frugal is Jeff with money? He wouldn't have enjoyed that bit of injury.
No, he hardly spoke to me for the next 6 months, I think. But no, I must admit, St Johnstone were brilliant, looking after me, absolutely top class. They sent me to Lillyshaw, the FA Rehab Centre, and they really did everything they could to try and get me back. So
which is
never
good.
Forget them for that.
Which is good to know. Like I said, that first season, though, even though you weren't involved because of the injury, it was a struggle, and it's been well documented in the past about a player backlash against the manager at the time. What was the feeling in the camp at the time? Because there was a lot of players that came out in the press that a lot of players were maybe down tools. They just weren't keen with what was happening. What was your take on it from sitting back, not playing?
Yeah, from what I remember, John McClelland didn't last that long, actually. I can't remember exactly when they sacked him, but Paul Sturrock came in. Might have been about Christmas time, or maybe just before Christmas. Can't remember exactly when, but by that time, I don't know if you remember, that season there was 3 teams down in the Premier League. They were restructuring, so it was a real struggle because we had a bad start. To be fair, Paul Sturrock did a bit of wheeling and dealing. He got Billy Dodds in. Trying to think who else. He got a few. John O'Neill came in. So he got a few players in, but just couldn't quite get into that 4th bottom spot, and ultimately went down in the last day of the season. So it was difficult sitting watching. You just totally nothing I could do. You just didn't feel part of things. I was away a lot down in Lillyshaw, so I wasn't in the dressing room that much during that first season I was there. So, but any time I was there, the players, I can't imagine any of them down in tools, to be honest.
No.
But I know there wasn't I think the backlash came towards John McClelland as opposed to, certainly not Paul Sturrock, more so John McClelland, because I think there was a wee bit of suggestion that he might have done the dirty and gone behind the back of the previous manager, Alec Totten. And he was obviously his legendary status up in Perth, I'm quite sure.
Aye.
So,
have you ever read Alec Totten's book?
I haven't actually, no.
It's a cracking read, and there's a couple of scathing chapters certainly aimed at Mr. McClelland, certainly. But we had him on a couple of weeks back, and he's an absolute gentleman of a guy. I don't know if you know him or met him, but he's a lovely fella.
Yeah, I met him. Funnily enough, I met him about a month, 6 weeks ago. I was playing in a charity game in just near Falkirk, and Alec was presenting the trophy to the winning team. So I had a wee word with him then. He's looking well.
Did you win? Were you in the winning team?
Of course.
Goes without saying. Dan?
I was going to say he's a legend in Perth, but I think Falkirk's got bigger claim to Alec. I think that's where the heart lies. But You mentioned about Paul coming in, Paul Sturrock coming in, and for you coming back from injury at that point, was that almost like a little bit of a, it's like, right, here's my chance to almost not maybe like starting over, because you were out, as you say, you were out of it with the injury for a lot of the season before, and did you see that as a good opportunity to really start to impress with a new manager?
Yeah, it was always. I remember thinking it was difficult, because John McClellan signed me, and then obviously he left not that long after, and Paul Sturrock came in. And as I say, for the rest of that season, I wasn't even involved at all due to my injury. So, but come pre-season, he actually pulled me and made me captain the following season. So I got the impression it was obviously he liked me, he liked what I could do, and he gave me that bit of responsibility of being captain. So that was a real honour, because I'd never been captain at any other club before. So that was a first, and it said a lot that he put his faith in me to give me that role.
Yeah, Paul Sturrock really started the kind of the turning point in Saints' kind of upward fortune. He brought, well, obviously players like Alan Preston, Jim Weir, Kev McGowan was there, George O'Boyle, Roddy Grant came back. Some big names in there. Alan Main, Andy Rhodes, like I said, there are some cracking players to play for. You would have, Sergio Baltaccio would have been away just before you came, I'd imagine.
Sergio had gone, I think he'd gone north to Inverness.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Although, strangely enough, our paths met. Sergio actually became the SFA community officer, community coach for Dumfries, where I live.
Which area, yeah.
So when he came down, he got in contact. So I got to know him quite well for the period of time he was here. So lovely guy, a legend as a player as well. What a really nice guy.
He's a top fella. Obviously, you went into management. We're going to have to touch on it at one point. You know where we're going with that.
I don't think St Johnstone and Gretna actually go together here. I don't know.
We'll find out, but we'd like.
Oh boy.
We'd like to get your take on that. But how did Paul Sturrock, or who was the kind of managers that kind of, did you take anything on board from these managers you played with, your Paul Sturrocks, as to your style of management? Or were you very much your own man?
I think probably most people, when they go into management, will take bits and pieces from all the kind of managers they worked with. And I must say, Paul Sturrock and John Blackley they were very professional in everything they did. Paul, I think he's probably it's his first job. He'd come from Dundee United, and I really think he put himself under a lot of pressure. He was determined to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that second season, the season, his kind of first full season when we're in the Championship, you could see how desperate he wanted to do well, but I think he was just finding his feet. Listen, everybody made mistakes, but I don't know if you recall, he collapsed on the side of the pitch. Tannadice. And I do think, looking back, that it was the stress he was putting himself under to be successful. But I think after that, you saw a different Paul Sturrock, and he was more his own man.
Mm-hmm.
I think he perhaps wanted to be a bit more like Jim McLean when he first came in, and he's not that type of personality. He's a really nice guy, and he wasn't that much older than some of the players like myself who were there, So, but no, I think you just have to look at his career he's had, even since. You're right, he started St Johnstone off in terms of the upward and onwards, but ever since then he's been down south. He's been very successful everywhere he's been. So no, I took a lot of, particularly his actual coaching, some of the drills and things he did on the training ground. They were the things that I take from Paul Sturrock.
Brilliant. Let's touch on your management career. We'll get into one in the moment. Steno Smear. My wife's brother, William Hogan, was head of the community coaching at Warriors in the community.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually speaking to him today. He said, he's top lad, top coach. I think you were Brown's assistant as well.
That's right, yeah.
So career extended, a difficult season, obviously, last year with the old COVID, and it was well documented in the press that you didn't take a salary or anything like that. How did you find that as a challenge in a season where there's no money coming in, playing by just difficult times? Yeah,
it was. To be honest, it was horrible, Sam. It was a bit stop-start initially. We started off the season late in, I think it was September, October time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had about 8 games, and then it came to a halt again. And then when we came back, it was a case of, well, we're only going to play 18 games. We're going to have half the season missing. And so we were just basically playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday to get the games finished. You couldn't train, couldn't have showers. You know, you weren't allowed in the same dressing room. We had like 4 different rooms. There'd be 4 lads in each room, and you're going down doing 4 team talks, you know, at different times. And you're travelling on your own. And ultimately there was no fans there either. So
no.
It was just, and I'm not just saying it was Dennis Weir, it was the same for all certainly the lower league teams. I know the Premier was slightly different, but the lower league teams, it was just I think it was just a means to an end to get the season finished. And it was, ultimately I lost my job at the end of that, but which I found that hard to take, because I thought it was pretty unjust to be judged on that type of season. You know, but
nothing to compare it to either.
I'm not the first, I'm not the last. I mean, Ray McKenna lost his job at Queen's Park and he won the league, so it wasn't a good year I don't think for anybody, to be honest.
No, and fingers crossed that we can 22 will be a bit brighter, but time will tell on that one. Happier times as a manager, maybe not in St Johnstone neck of the woods, but your time at Gretna was considered a fairy tale of Scottish football. How was that for you, the whole Gretna experience?
It was incredible, Sam. I started as a part-time 42-year-old footballer. That's how I went. And when they got into the league, the first time they got elected, ironically enough, on the back of Clydebank going out of business, which is another one. There's a theme here. Clydebank went out of business. But I just went there with no illusions, no aspirations of anything other than just helping a wee village team playing in League Two. Obviously, fast forward a couple of seasons, the backer came in. Brooks Milson, with his ambition and his determination to have a bit of fun, as his words were, and to try and wind up the top echelons of Scottish football. And he just had a dream. And funnily enough, there was quite a few ex-St Johnstone lads there as well.
I was going to say that, the likes of Alan Main, you would have played with.
Alan, John O'Neill.
Yep.
John O'Neill is probably one of the best players I've played with and coached. He was phenomenal, and he was at the end of his career when he came to Gretna. Mm-hmm. But the cup final, he was man of the match in the cup final. He was absolutely superb, and so I, with Alan, John O'Neill, as a couple, and big Scotty Patterson actually came down towards the end of he had a bad injury and he came to us for the kind of last part of the season as well. So there was a wee St Johnstone connection. So listen, anybody that was there will tell you it was a brilliant experience. I know there's the critics. I know we had it was always doomed for failure, but to be part of it it gave me 8 years at a level of football that I thought I'd finished with, because I was like in my 40s when all this started, so it was brilliant.
You talked about lots of ex-St Johnstone connections. There was an ex-Dundee connection as well in James Grady. What is your memories of that day in Dingwall? We were at Hamilton that day. It was for people that don't know, or younger listeners, I think these were 13 points ahead with 4 games to go, or something very, very similar. And Saints had managed to get the 3 wins he needed. Gretna lost the last 3, so it went into the last game of the season. You needed a win or a point, and you needed to go up to Dingwall for that. What's your memories of that day?
Yeah, well, it was tight, because I mean, St Johnstone, we did, on paper, it looked like we had quite a healthy lead. But St Johnstone had games in hand, because they had a couple of good cup runs that year as well. I think Owen Coyle, you got to a semi-final. Both competitions, I think. So yeah, I remember St Johnstone came down to Gretna, and if Gretna had beaten St Johnstone, we'd have won the league that day. St Johnstone beat us 2-0. So that basically started the pressure back onto us. St Johnstone then had a midweek game, they won it. We went to Airdrie, drew. St Johnstone had a Saturday game, I think they won it. We drew with Clyde. So we were then back, the last game of the season, we had to at least match or better St Johnstone's result at Hamilton. So I think we went a point ahead. You probably know, I don't know, well, you might not know, there was a legend has it that there was a delay on the Keswick Bridge going across Inverness, and unfortunately it was true. There was someone threatening to jump off. Mm-hmm. So the road was closed. So the game was delayed for maybe 7 or 8 minutes. Obviously, St Johnstone kicked off at 3 o'clock at Hamilton. So we knew St Johnstone game had finished. And I can remember vividly looking at my watch when somebody said that St Johnstone have won. I looked at my watch, I think it was about 3 minutes to go, 2-2, and I thought, we've blown it. I'll be remembered as the manager that has blown a 13-point lead. But just at that point...
We wish you were, to be fair. I'm joking,
but as I've looked up, the ball was in the far side at Dingwall, just about the halfway line, and our fullback hit a diagonal, 40, 50-yard diagonal. What a pass it was, right to Davy Graham, who took a touch. And I thought he was going to shoot, but he squared it to James Grady and he stuck it in the net, and it was just bedlam after that, you know. I tell people it was like a Aguero moment for Man City.
Yeah.
You know, last kick of the ball, literally, to win the championship, and it was incredible. It really was. But it was more relief than anything, because of the pressure that season had really built up, and there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, which ultimately led to the demise of Gretna. But there was so much going on; it was so difficult to actually work. We were having to get rid of players, bring in young players. It was just constant. But we got there in the end. But ultimately, I remember thinking when we were driving back down the trophy in the front of the bus, I thought, what have we done? What have we done? We had no ground. We couldn't play at Gretna.
I'm playing at Motherwell, weren't you?
I had to play at Motherwell. There was never going to be enough people travelling from Gretna to Motherwell. I mean, it's 80, 90 mile round trip, 90 miles up the road. So I thought, what have we done? And I was probably proved right, but it was a great experience. It really was, but it was sad the way things ended, particularly when people, you know, it was a guy, Brooks Milson, he died due to an illness that he contracted. That to the end of that season and for the rest of the 1 year that we were in the Premier League. So he never actually saw any of the games. He was too ill to attend, and it was quite sad in that respect. I know there's obviously a bit of rivalry with St Johnstone and Gretna based on that, and I know there was, we had the money, albeit for a short period of time, and you know, I think I look at a lot of clubs in Scotland that have all done this. Livingston did it, Dundee have done it, you know, up and down. Teams have gone bust, but in the back of trying to chase that holy grail. Gretna weren't any different from some of these, Sam, to be honest.
Absolutely right. Dan?
Yeah, just a very quick one, Davey, obviously, because you had another experience of Gretna sort of later on in your career, because you've gone from the sort of, as you described, the highs and the sort of roller coaster ride of the original club. You actually went back to manage the Phoenix club. How was that?
Phoenix Knights.
Phoenix Knights, yeah. No, I just realised that when I said it.
The Brighton Potter of Gretna 2008.
I know, right?
That's our weekly Phoenix Knights reference out of the way there. And
yeah, I went back, Danny. They're in the Lowland League actually at the moment, albeit they're struggling. But they came back in 2008, and they went into the East of Scotland League initially, but then with this kind of semi-pyramid system that they've introduced in Scotland, Gretna were put into the Lowland League. So I got a chance. They asked me if I'd come back and help them, and I wasn't doing anything. I'd left Stennismuir. I was was on my doorstep, and I thought, why not? And I had these visions of going back down and getting them back in the league and stuff. But I think, if anything, Gretton will be lucky to survive in the Lowland League in the next year or two. There's, albeit they've got a new pitch, they've got a brand new 4G pitch, so that they're trying to be a community club now as opposed to messing with the big boys in Scottish football.
Has Raydale been demolished? Is that gone now? Is it?
No, it's still there, Sam. It's still the. You probably did. You ever go to Raydale?
I did,
Sam?
yeah. That season, the game we lost 2-0. I think it was a bitter cold. I think it was maybe November, December time that season.
Yeah.
We had Michael McGovern, and our goal, who had an absolute howler. He ended up going on to play for Northern Ireland. Unbelievably.
I know. But the stand that you were in is still there.
Okay.
Behind the goal.
Yeah.
And then it's the same down the kind of dugout side. It's just the same, but we've got a new 4G pitch, but it's not suitable for league football now. It wouldn't reach the standards required. So
wouldn't pass it.
No.
But you touched on there, Davey, about chasing the dream. That's something St Johnstone have never done ever. Jeff Brown came out and said in the 90s, this is the model, we will always stick to it. And they managed to achieve 2 cups last season. What did you make of that?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. I mean, I used to pick Callum Davidson up in the mornings when he couldn't drive. He was a part-time player with St Johnstone, a student at Edinburgh University. He had this dilemma: do I go full time or do I chuck uni? What do I do? And I remember speaking to his mum and dad and giving them a bit of advice. He was even asked. Paul Sturrock was trying to get rid of him to Forfar at one point. And I said to Callum, listen, just sit tight. Things will change. So, from a purely personal note, I'm absolutely delighted for Callum Davidson and what happened for him, and delighted for the club, obviously, St Johnstone to achieve. I keep saying to people, Callum was a better manager than Steven Gerrard. Callum's won more trophies than Steven Gerrard, and it was fantastic. I'm just sorry that you never got a chance to be there for the fans' sake. Either cup finals, that was a bit of a letdown, I suppose, but it was brilliant for Callum, brilliant for St Johnstone. How do you match that? How do you better that? I don't think you ever can.
No, we take it as a one-off. We're just put it down to the annals of history and be delighted. This season, though, slightly different. You were there in the Aberdeen game. We lost 1-0. You were taking notes as we discussed at the top of the show. How does he, as a manager, in your opinion, how does he turn this round now? He's obviously a young, unexperienced manager, bottom of the table, not someone, and he's struggling with goals. I think 9 goals in 18 odd games. What advice would you give Callum now to kind of deal with this?
I think one of the first things I would say is I'd like to think Callum's not under any pressure, and that'll allow him to keep his focus and not get distracted by people, the boo boys or whatever. I'm not saying there is any, but there's for anybody else sitting in that situation, he probably would feel a bit of pressure. Callum maybe does feel it himself, but I'd hope as a club they're not putting him under any pressure. I'm quite sure they're not. So that's one thing that he can forget about and allow him to focus on exactly what he needs to do. You touched on it, Sam. They're not scoring goals. You've lost your best 3 players. Ali McCann's a massive. What a loss he was to you.
Yeah.
Same at the back. You've lost your skipper as well. They were big losses. But I think Callum, I don't think there's that much wrong with the team. When I watched him against Aberdeen, it was a goal they lost. It was shouldn't have been allowed. But they're just not scoring goals. I spoke to ironically enough, my 2 sons are both Motherwell fans. Lewis and Luke are Motherwell fans. Yeah. Lewis used to work at Motherwell, but he's at the SFA now. But he still does Motherwell TV and stuff, so he does the commentary.
Okay.
I spoke to him after the game yesterday, and he just thought St Johnstone just looked like they'd run out of ideas. And that's a worry. And I listened to Callum's interview after the game, and he's obviously taking full responsibility, and I think he's concerned about the fact that the team didn't look like they were committed yesterday, which I've never heard that before, not in Callum's time.
Yeah, we're kind of there. They kind of look second best to a lot of the balls, and January maybe can't come quick enough. I think he's due a big old January, but I'm pretty sure we've been bottom of the table the last 2 Christmases, so it's not uncharted territory for the team, certainly, to have a fairly big turn of the year. But we'll finish up. We're precious that we've got your time here, Davey. Appreciate it. But we'll finish up.
It's a pleasure.
What's next for you? Where will we see you next?
Probably next time I'm watching St Johnstone affair. No, hopefully I'll get. As I say, I watched the team that Motherwell are playing the following week. So St Johnstone, can I just say, are the only club that gives me 2 tickets, because my son likes to come to games with me, but St Johnstone, the only club that gives me 2 tickets. Rangers stick you right in the corner up against a wall behind a bin and all sorts. Celtic, you're up in the gods. So St Johnstone have still got that bit of class where they treat people properly. So hopefully I'll get a chance to go and see St Johnstone again, albeit in better results.
We need everyone to
I'm
come.
Sure they will.
We need everyone to come that we can, Davey.
I'm telling you, I was at Livingston against Ross County yesterday. St Johnstone are better than both of those teams. They really are. And I know that. I think that's the next. I think they play Ross County quite soon, don't
Got
they?
them on Wednesday, Wednesday evening, yep.
Wednesday.
It's a big one.
Aye. Looking at the game yesterday, St Johnstone, even despite they're not winning games, they've got better players in both those teams. So, a wee bit of luck, a wee bit of backing. Hopefully Jeff will, well, maybe not so much Jeff, but his son will put his hand in his pocket and give Callum a bit of money, because you're not going to get a goal scorer for nothing. That's the one area of the pitch you have to spend money on, and he does need somebody to take that pressure off and score a goal or 2 for him. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll get that.
We've got all our fingers crossed as well. Davey, very much appreciate you coming on. Hope you have a lovely Christmas. Say hi to all the family for us and take care, and hopefully we'll see you up at McDermott very soon.
Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure, and likewise, and all the best to everybody at St Johnstone and all the fans.
Good,
have
man.
a good Christmas.
You too. Thanks, Davey. Cheers now. See you later,
Thank you,
buddy.
Sam.
See you later, mate.
Thanks, Danny.
See you later.
Right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What a guy, eh? What a guy.
Oh, fabulous guy. Really is. Just such a nice lad, and so generous with his time. Doing the broken record thing again, but he can't lie.
No, we knew he was going to be good, because as soon as we even approached him, he was just being forthcoming. He said, whatever you need, whenever you need me, I'm more than happy to help and chat about my time with Saints. Love the club. So brilliant, lovely guy, and I hope he's got something out of that. Even though he took Gretna up, I can forgive him almost.
We can let the Gretna thing slide.
Yeah.
We can even let the fact that he obviously masterminded Motherwell's victory yesterday slide.
Mind you, I could have masterminded that if I handed notes.
Yeah.
As long as you score a goal, you'll probably win.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
But no, thanks him. We've got some cracking guests coming up in the new year, Dan.
We do. We'll keep him under our hats for now, but it is an absolute who's who of St Johnstone. So we are really looking forward to it all, and looking forward to bringing you all these star names.
Yeah, we're literally trying to keep it as varied as possible. Like I said, we've had Murray Davidson, then we went like Paul Cherry. We're trying to cover everybody, so there's something for everybody. We're going to try and get more players from the 80s involved. The main problem with that being is technology, because obviously the further we go back, the older they are, and technology plays more of an issue. But we are doing our utmost to get as many kind of varied and different guests as possible for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We know we've got a bit of a broad church out there in terms of listenership, and that's brilliant. So we want to cater to everyone. We want everyone to enjoy all the aspects of the podcast.
Exactly right. But let's move on. We have a massive game. A lot of people might hear this afterwards, but a massive game on Wednesday coming against Ross County, the rearranged game from the flooding, not caused by Tommy Wright. Apparently he brings all the bad weather. Did you read the headline?
I quite like the fact he got the fog cost him his job.
Unbelievable. Even if they won that, would he have gone afterwards?
I reckon there's something afoot there, I reckon.
Yeah.
I would be very, just the way it's sort of happened, I'd be very surprised if it's not if it's not all going to move along very, very quickly. But yeah, County, it's right. I'm going to make the most obvious statement in the world here. It's a must win. But every game at the minute is a must win. The Rangers game last Wednesday, we'd never ever say losing to Rangers feels like hammer blow under normal circumstances.
About the Rangers game, we've not touched on it really at all. I just want to ask your opinion on Callum Davidson's comments about Eetu Virtanen. It
was very out of character for him, I thought. He's obviously frustrated, but wasn't Eetu's fault that we lost that game at the end of the day. I know he obviously gave the ball away in the build-up to the corner, but there was an awful lot happened in between. And there was mistakes made in between Eetu giving the ball away and Morelos sticking the ball in the net that players didn't get dug out for.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was a little bit, it surprised me actually, and I thought it was a little bit out of character, or it seems out of character. Look, it's obvious he's not Callum's guy.
Yeah.
I don't know who brought him into the club. It's pretty obvious Callum hasn't been impressed with him, and he is very, very raw. And to be quite honest with you, probably isn't good enough, or isn't what we need at the minute. But any manager digging any player out individually for a defeat is pretty bad chat. It doesn't matter whether you're Liam Craig, 430 odd games for the club, or whether you're Eetu Virtanen, he was making like his second start, second or third start, whatever it was. You don't dig a player out. You absolutely don't do it like that. And I'd hope that he reflected on it and realised it was and it is just that I think what we're seeing more and more of with Callum, it's just that little bit of inexperience telling. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That actually sounds like I meant it in a really bad way, that. But I think it's just a reminder that this is a guy that is at the start of his managerial career, is at the start of the process. So yeah, hopefully he learns from that. Hopefully that's the one time he ever does it in his career, because it just seemed a little bit petty.
Yeah, it was certainly out of character. But anyway, we'll move on. I just wanted to get your opinion on that one because I never asked. Ross County on Wednesday, big game. Will we get something out of it? Can we get something out of it?
Oh, can we get something out of it? Yeah, of course we can. The issue is, which I'm still seeing, it doesn't matter whether it's County or Aberdeen or Rangers, whoever, we're not creating enough chances. And all right, people slag off the forwards and all that. It's really, really difficult when you're feeding off scraps. I do think, though, that even as bad as the Motherwell game was, I still sort of think there's enough there that makes me think, right, it can turn around. I think maybe it's just naivety or hopefulness. But the two newer guys, as I say, Butterfield and Viv, would be maybe, you'd sort of hope there's going to be chances coming from them. We'll see. I don't know. I think on present form, I can't believe I'm saying this on a St Johnstone podcast, but I'd actually make County favourites for the game.
Potentially, but Davy Irons, like you said, saw Ross County and Livingston, and he said that we are better than both of them. Whether he's just paying us lips, I don't know, but they are probably on current form. Any team's got to be a favourite against us, but we've got a tricky run-in after this. We've got Celtic, Hearts and Livingston away, so before the winter break. So hopefully, as long as we are still in touch and distance and we're not absolutely 10 points clear at the bottom, which we really could do without, but time will tell. It's Christmas time. We know what happens.
It is Christmas time. There is no need to be afraid. No, I'm not going to be at the County game because literally 10 minutes after I booked my train down south for Christmas on that day, on that Wednesday, it was announced that was the day it was rearranged for.
Of course it was.
Yeah, absolutely standard. So, yeah, we will, if we win, and if we get something against Celtic, I will never show my sorry ass at McDermott Park again. So, yeah, no, look, it is hard to stay positive at the minute when you're just losing all the time. But let's at least try it. Let's see how we go. And I actually saw something the other day. There was a bit of we missed it because we was at the game, but there's something said on commentary about how fans have a role to play. Some people took badly to that. I actually agree, because it is a whole club effort. You can't dig your head into the sand and sort of happy clap your way out of it. No. But, it all needs to be one thing. It all needs to be needs to be a bit of positivity around the place and a bit of backing. You can see the lads are fucking shattered in terms of the confidence.
They're hurting. They must be hurting.
I mean, and they are professionals. And again, it's another thing Callum keeps saying about, it's lack of fight and all that. Yeah, I don't know. They probably haven't. Probably relates back to the confidence thing. I don't think that's the be all and end all. I do still think that they're good, honest, hard-working lads in the main in that team. So I just think they're hurting and the confidence is shot. But I think the bigger issue, rather than any lack of heart or anything like that, is just the inability to get a foot on the ball and string more than 4 passes together.
I am more than confident it will come, but that's my opinion.
I still think we're 1 or 2 good results and performances away from possibly turning it around. We just need to make sure we're not cut, as you said, Sam. Just make sure we're not cut adrift and climbing up Everest in our slippers in the second half of the season.
I remember reading a Twitter comment about the Sherpas of Scotland are literally like you're climbing up Ben Nevis and there's a guy with Nike Air Max coming down walking his dog. Which is absolutely fair enough. I remember Lynn climbed Ben Nevis and there was a guy walking down with his baby in a little holder and he had like a Nike jumper on. How do these guys do it?
My brother-in-law and a few pals did it years and years ago now. But they'd all turned up in like the proper gear, or most of them had. And one of the lads turned up in an Armani jacket, a pair of Versace jeans, and just to top the outfit off as well, a pair of Rockports.
Lynn loves a pair of Rockports.
I used to have Rockports at school.
90s daft. Love the 90s.
I do love the 90s.
Do you know what we love? You guys for listening. We have come to the end of another episode. We just want to thank Mike Pringle, who came on for our Wendy Who feature, David Irons for coming on and being our headline act guest of the week, to Danny for being a superb co-host as always. We want to thank our subscribers who contribute every single month to us. They still get their newsletter and we send interviews out to them, but it's more than that. It's just a really big help, and thanks very much for keeping supporting the podcast. All the listeners, everybody that listens to the podcast on a weekly basis, thank you very much. We do it for you guys, and we hope every single person that I mentioned there has a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Sam, I couldn't have said that any better myself. Just like to add a massive thank you to you for basically keeping this whole thing going, and yeah, being the best podcast host, or best St. Johnstone podcast host in Octorada. So
yes,
well done to yourself, mate. Because we've reached it's Christmas, and we hope everyone has such a bloody lovely Christmas. And we're going to be taking a little bit of a break because I'll be away, and we're going to let you all enjoy your festive period without being bummed out and having to listen about your football club being a bit rubbish.
Yeah, that's it. We're taking a week off. We won't be back next week, but we'll be back just after the new year in 2 weeks' time. So we're taking a week off to enjoy the festive period. Like I said, Dan's away back down south. You have a very Merry Christmas, and everybody. And we
hopefully way back down south.
Yeah, fingers crossed, unless the Omicron festival kicks in and we're not going anywhere again.
Omicron, that I'm a nut.
Aye, that's it. Maybe we should start a podcast to fill the time.
Maybe we should.
See you in the new year, everyone. Keep the faith.
Yeah. Love you. Have a lovely time, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.